Basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors are interested in Pelicans player Trey Murphy III, but will the Warriors be able to sign him in 2026? Warriors may have to dump two biggest talents to acquire Trey Murphy III. Golden State reportedly had interest in Murphy during the offseason, but that was a time where New Orleans clearly had no interest in parting ways with their young wing. Perhaps that may change given the state of flux the franchise now finds themselves in, but it might take the Warriors dumping their two most talented young players to make it happen. Much has been made of just how well Jonathan Kuminga's new contract aligns with Murphy's for a potential midseason trade, particularly if Golden State are willing to throw in a raft of draft capital and if New Orleans also decide to move on Williamson. However, Kuminga's $22.5 million salary still falls short of the $25 million Murphy is making. As a team over the first apron, the Warriors can't take back more salary and would therefore need to include another player. In such a scenario, the Pelicans may require Brandon Podziemski in the deal as well. That would make the trade work from a financial perspective, but Golden State may also need to relinquish one or two picks on top of giving up their two most talented young players. Would that be worth it from a Warrior perspective? Based on recent form it would, not just because of the production of those players individually, but perhaps even more so given the sheer workload and virtuoso performances that Stephen Curry had to deliver for Golden State to get back-to-back wins in San Antonio. Having another player capable of creating his own shot and going for mammoth scoring outbursts could be crucial in the Warriors preserving their veteran players, something that Murphy has proven capable of with 35-point and 41-point performances in two of his last four games. There's no guarantee that the Pelicans even make Murphy available, but if they do then the Warriors best be prepared to offer their two most valuable young assets as part of a blockbuster package for the 25-year-old. Takeaways from Warriors' loss to Heat: why Kerr could change starting lineup. Without their three best players, the Golden State Warriors, 9-8, couldn't muster enough offense in a 110-96 loss to the Miami Heat, 9-6. The Warriors actually had the lead at the end of three quarters, but the Heat used a dominant fourth quarter to pull away. Pat Spencer had one of his best games as a pro, totaling 11 points, 13 assists and 8 rebounds. But ultimately nobody could stop Norman Powell, who had 22 of his 25 points in the second half. Here are three takeaways from a game the Warriors played without Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Al Horford. Richard's scoreless game gives Kerr tough lineup decision. Well, Richard had been a revelation going into Wednesday. He had shot at least 50% in 13 of his 14 games. The one bad game was a 4 of 9 showing against the Pelicans. But against the Heat, Richard went scoreless, missing all three shots he took and posting a game-worst -25 rating. Steve Kerr will have a tough decision for Friday's NBA Cup game against the Portland Trail Blazers. The Curry-Richard-Moody-Butler-Green lineup has a plus 13.5 net rating, per cleaning the glass, but it lost its minutes against the Magic, and now Richard is coming off his worst game as a pro. Meanwhile, the Curry-Pods-Moody-Butler-Green quartet was arguably Golden State's best lineup last year, posting a plus 17.9 net rating in 459 possessions. It has played just 23 possessions this season, but it has once again been lethal with a plus 17.2 net rating. Podziemski didn't play his best game either, but he did score 20 points, 6 of 19 shooting, and his rebounding and passing fit well with the four other starters last year. We'll see if Kerr keeps Richard in the first five or if he goes to Pods. Post rediscovers scoring touch. In his last 5 games, Quinton Post's point totals were as follows: 6, 0, 3, 4, 2. Overall, he was 5 of 17 in that stretch and 4 of 15 from 3. He broke out of that slump Wednesday with 19 points on 8 of 13 shooting and 3 of 7 from 3. Post's defense has been much better this season, which is a big reason he has one of the best net ratings on the team despite his recent shooting slump. He finished a +5 in 26 minutes. Expect Kerr to get him more run on the homestand. The Warriors need his shooting to space out lineups with Butler, Green and/or Kuminga. Hield misses golden opportunity to get on track. It's been a tough start to the season for Buddy Hield. It's been so tough that I broke down whether he should lose his rotation spot with a column before the game. Against the Heat, Hield was bound to get more playing time and shot attempts than he'd had all year. This was his chance to get on track. Hield did play a season-high 31 minutes, but he didn't get on track. He went 7 of 20 from the floor, 4 of 15 from 3, and perhaps most alarmingly, he had 4 turnovers. His defense continues to be a sore spot. Just watch the effort or lack thereof at the 10:08 mark of this video. Powell won't get many easier and ones this season. As I noted in the column, most of the Warriors bench players are struggling, so it's not obvious what Kerr should with the back end of the rotation. But if Hield was already on thin ice, the ice just got thinner. It is time for Warriors fans to have an uncomfortable Buddy Hield discussion. With some young Warriors emerging, is Hield's rotation spot slipping? When Buddy Hield is hitting three-pointers, there's a sense of serenity in Warriors land. It makes everything easier, the floor can be spaced better, he takes some pressure off Steph Curry, and he can hit a barrage of three-pointers at a moment's notice. When Buddy Hield isn't hitting three-pointers, the argument for playing him big minutes becomes a little less clear-cut. When he's not hitting three-pointers and other role players on the Warriors are producing more consistently, then Hield's place in the rotation in general becomes precarious, and that's the situation we find ourselves in right now. On the season, Hield is shooting just 32% from three-point range and has a VORP of -0.1, meaning he grades out as worse than a replacement-level player. Meanwhile, rookie Will Richard and emerging scorer Moses Moody have both impressed in their minutes, leading Warriors fans to call for those two to take over Hield's minutes, which have been rough more than they've been good this year. Hield's minutes are already down this year, he's averaging 17.9 minutes per game, while Richard is right behind him at 17.2 and Moody is up to a career-high 22.9. With each day that Moody improves and Richard continues to impress, Hield's share of the second-unit backcourt minutes might slip away. Is Buddy Hield in danger of losing his roster spot? Probably not entirely. With how solid he was last year, it's hard to imagine Hield completely falling out of the lineup. But Moody has been shooting the ball much better than Hield, and Richard contributes a lot more than just scoring. His hustle and instincts are what have made him valuable, although the 40% three-point clip doesn't hurt either. On a Warriors team that's still figuring out exactly what its rotation will be this year, I am not suggesting that Hield gets banished to the bench permanently. But turning into a 10-ish minute per game guy while he shoots himself out of a slump would be beneficial for him and the team, plus, it would instill more confidence in two young Warriors who have come on strong in 2025 in Richard and Moody. Every shooter in NBA history has slumped. I am confident that Hield, who's made over 2,100 three-pointers in his NBA career, will bust out of this sooner than later. But in the meantime, it's worth toning down the Buddy minutes and getting some more run for a few other Warriors who are doing more to help the team nightly. Jimmy Butler's harsh, humorous words reflect reality for struggling Warriors veteran. He has to be better. Everyone knows that Golden State Warriors teammates Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield have made for a great comedy duo ever since the former joined the team. However, a humorous moment on Tuesday night reveals a harsh reality for Hield going forward. In Tuesday's game against the Orlando Magic, Butler inbounded a ball only for it to sail over Hield's head. Butler quickly told Hield that he should have jumped higher to grab it, and that he was never going to pass him the ball again. Now, it seems Butler said this a little tongue-in-cheek because the ball was well over Hield's head. However, Butler may end up not passing the ball to Hield very much going forward if his frenemy continues to struggle. Jimmy Butler's harsh words for Buddy Hield reflect grim reality for Warriors. Unfortunately, Hield has just not been himself so far this season. After a great showing in the opening game of the season against the Los Angeles Lakers, he's since struggled to the point where, if this continues, the Warriors are going to have to figure out what to do with him. Through the first 16 games of the season, Hield averaged just under 17 minutes per game, which is a decrease from his playing time last season. He's subsequently seen his points per game drop to 6.6 after putting up 11.1 points a year ago. Hield saw more opportunity and played nearly 31 minutes without Golden State's veteran stars on Wednesday against the Miami Heat, but his 18 points came on just 7 of 20 shooting from the floor and 4 of 15 from three-point range. Hield's shooting is a real concern for the Warriors, having shot just 29.9% from three-point range, which is well down on the 37% he drilled last season and the 39.6% he shoots from downtown on his career. At his best, Hield is a guy the Warriors can bring off the bench and reliably expect to hit at least a couple of threes to provide some offense. Yet if he's not doing that, then it's questionable on where he brings value to the team. His comedy routine with Butler is fun, and his energy and silliness are very endearing when he is playing well, making him an easy guy to root for. But when rookie Will Richard is doing the things he does and fellow veterans like Gary Payton too can at least bring some solid defense off the bench, the 32-year-old's role becomes less clear. No one wants to break up the Butler-Hield duo, but Butler's joke in reference to not passing to Hield may end up becoming a reality sooner rather than later if Hield's playing time continues to dwindle. Warriors trade idea sends Jonathan Kuminga to Mavericks for $175 million. Ex-Lakers NBA champion Al Horford has been a colossal disappointment with the Golden State Warriors this year. The former Boston Celtics center signed with the Dubs in early October to help give the organization a starting-caliber center with championship experience to replace Kevin Looney. However, Horford hasn't been the serviceable pick-and-pop/low-post threat that Golden State hoped he'd be, as the 6'9" NBA champion center averaged 5.7 points and 4.1 rebounds per game on 33.8% field goal shooting and 31.9% three-point shooting. Fortunately, there's still time for the Warriors to acquire a big man capable of making a more significant impact on the hardwood. In Blue Man Hoops' Peter O'Keefe's opinion, the Warriors should consider trading Jonathan Kuminga to the Dallas Mavericks for a former Los Angeles Lakers NBA champion forward. The Golden State has arguably been the team most proposed as a destination for Davis, including by the Ringers' Bill Simmons and Sam Quinn of CBS Sports, O'Keefe wrote Thursday. However, the Warriors would have to drastically alter the identity of their team to trade for Davis and his $54.1 million deal for this season, with Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office needing to make the brutal decision to give up Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green. Moving Green would also require Golden State to trade Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield as well, and that's before mentioning what sort of draft compensation Dallas would need. This report at least suggests Davis will be available at some price, but whether the Warriors are willing to match that remains to be seen. Davis will undoubtedly be viewed as a wild card on the trade market this season. The 10-time All-Star is a force to be reckoned with on both ends, as he not only thrives as a back-to-the-basket and face-up post player but also makes opponents think twice about attempting layups and dunks around the rim. Davis is averaging 20.8 points, 10.2 rebounds, 1.6 steals, and 1.2 blocks per game with the Mavericks this season. However, it's challenging to appreciate Davis's two-way dominance when the Kentucky product is frequently unavailable due to various injuries. Davis has already missed 11 games this year due to a calf strain, further proving that the 32-year-old is unreliable from a health standpoint. Still, with Kuminga continuing to play unpredictable basketball for the Warriors and Golden State needing to bolster its frontcourt, it may be worthwhile for the franchise to ponder O'Keefe's blockbuster trade concept. Steve Kerr's latest complaint isn't a great look for the Warriors. He may have a point, but it's not a great look. The Golden State Warriors are in the middle of a tough stretch in their schedule. Head coach Steve Kerr has argued that the NBA should shorten its schedule, but his most recent plea could certainly come off as sour grapes. After the Warriors lost to the Orlando Magic on Tuesday night, Kerr reiterated his belief that the NBA season should be shorter. He believes that the faster pace of the game has led to more injuries as star players have gone down with regularity this season, along with going back to last postseason as well. Steve Kerr's schedule comments could come off as sour grapes. Kerr said this is a topic he has brought up to the league a lot, but he acknowledged that any reduction in games is unlikely given the amount of money involved. Owners would be very unlikely to approve any reduction in the schedule because it would mean less money and lost revenue, but Kerr argues that it would raise the quality of the product on the floor. On the one hand, his critique is valid because there have been a lot of injuries as of late, and it stands to reason that fewer regular season games should mean less injuries, largely because players would not be so strained physically and would have more time to recover. Plus, less games could mean that fans get a greater chance of seeing star players like Stephen Curry, who may not have to sit out as much for rest or precautionary reasons. Curry is already dealing with an ankle injury that will see him miss Golden State's lone visit to Miami on Wednesday. Still, it's not a great look for Kerr and the Warriors when it could be interpreted as him complaining about the schedule amidst a tough stretch for his team. Kerr has tried not to use Golden State's rough schedule as an excuse when they have lost winnable games, but people will leap on his comments to make it seem like he's pointing fingers at the league. The truth is, this schedule has been tough on an aging Golden State roster. Kerr has to manage the difficult balancing act of resting his stars, while also trying to be competitive, which isn't always easy to calibrate correctly. Still, every team has to play 82 games and every team has to deal with difficult stretches of the schedule. The Warriors just have to suck it up and try to push through this particularly tough period, and hopefully make up some ground when the schedule opens up later on.